What's up? Welcome back. It's been a long time since I did a video for this Oism channel, and I can't say what Oism, Alchemy of Health, right? And I could say this: just did a spiritual video. I did two spiritual videos in the last 2 weeks. My spiritual channel and that, and my metaphysical channel, and that was the first I did in a while. But I would say for this channel, I definitely will be more consistent from now on, because I think for this day and time, health is definitely more important than raw metaphysics. So I definitely will be keeping this channel updated. And my video topic today is one thing I wanted to do for a while, just never got a chance to do it, and talk about breast milk, basically. I was literally gonna say talking about liquid gold, but breast milk is liquid gold. But I was actually going to say this video is about liquid gold. But if I said that, then people would be thinking I'm talking about monotonic gold, and I'm actually talking about breast milk, not monotonic gold. And it's interesting because, in a sense, when you talk about this topic, I would say it's pretty fairly known. It's not like something where it's unknown per se, but I would say that in some ways it's interesting because the area where I would talk about or cover from is I'm trying to combine the East and West, right? So it's interesting because most of the time when I was talking about breast milk, because I've been studying Eastern medicine for a long time. I've been studying Eastern medicine probably, I would say, since 2004. So about like 15 years. I've known about breast milk from them, but when I usually try to do videos now, I try to combine them with Western science. So it's been a while because Western science has been really making inroads in microbiology, and a lot of breast milk is related to that. And I've always said breast milk is like a bacterial soup. So it's often very hard to talk about breast milk without understanding microbes. So for me, the East was getting into the energetic, especially like the energetic part of breast milk, but the West, until they started, because they've been making, only I would say since 2007 has microbiology exploded, and we have a better understanding of breast milk. I remember when I was coming up, there used to be people who used to say, and this was Western doctors who would talk about, the formula is almost no different from the milk from the mom, and you can probably get away with that if you just talk about nutrients, right? To a certain extent, you can get away with that because they can look at it and they can just copy it, but they can't copy the microbial soup. So after, I would say, mid 2000s or late 2000s, when I say late 2000, like 2007-ish, 2008-ish, they started realizing there's nothing. The formula cannot compete with I was gonna say with the microbial soup. Formula cannot compete with breast milk, not even close. And part of that is obviously the microbial composition, but in general, as I will cover, the body actually adapts to the child's needs, right? And gives and produces certain nutrients. Well, and this is why, this was Master East, where obviously the woman in question who's breastfeeding will probably have to still eat good, eat right, because if she's not eating right, they can't do this. But the body literally adapts to the changing needs of the baby. And from week to week, the nutrient composition in the breast milk will change. There's no way you can make that in a formula. There's no way. So there's no question. You don't really hear that talk as much anymore. Obviously, because of the lifestyle that we're living in, breast milk may not be feasible for many people. Many women, sometimes have to go back to work in 3 weeks. So I'm not doing this to say if you don't breastfeed your child, you're wrong. I'm just making this video to show the power of the milk, the power of that substance, right? So when you look at it from Chinese medicine perspective, and the ancient Chinese used to say that breast milk was a combination of blood and qi. And if you don't know qi is a primordial essence. It's like an essence that some people used to harness from the air, but it exists everywhere to a certain extent. And they used to say the breast milk was a combination of qi and blood, right? And the blood that was coming in was the blood of the placenta of the baby, right? So the Chinese always had breast milk as a substance that's very important to the development of the child. I actually think Ayurvedic medicine actually went further, because in Ayurvedic medicine, they would call breast milk stania. And it's interesting because they would say that a baby's probably supposed to be breastfeeding for 18 months. And in a sense, to the ancient Indians, the creators of Ayurvedic medicine, they would always say the breast milk's supposed to be like white, like a pearl. And they used to test it back in the days by mixing it with water, and they can see if it mixes white, if the breast milk was good. Because like I said, we don't know if the woman in question may not be eating right. She may be stressed out. She may be sick while giving birth, and all those factors will affect the potency of the breast milk, right? And it's interesting because in Ayurvedic medicine, they would actually say, they would actually say things like eating dates and pumpkins actually purify your breast milk. But Ayurvedic medicine tends to be into herbs and spices. So turmeric, fenugreek, cumin are all things that you actually would use, like a woman would ingest to purify her milk. And you keep going back to turmeric, and cumin. No question, which is like, beginning of the base product of what's in some Indian curries. So a lot of times, this is why I always respected the East, because a lot of their people don't really realize, even the people today who are cooking Indian food, who are cooking Chinese food, don't realize that a lot of their recipes, a lot of their spices was coming from the masters, the healers, that predates the beginning origin of the cuisine itself. And they passed on that knowledge of using certain spices, being able to mix certain foods up together to harmonize the energetic parts of the body. And it's interesting because because chi is not really something that can be measured. In India, they call it prana. It's not really something is easy to be measured. They actually can't measure it by Western medicine. Or Western science, I should say. Because Western science is actually what creates Western medicine. So a lot of times when you deal in Western medicine, they would only focus on, the vitamins, the minerals within the substance, but there is an energetic component as well, right? So in that sense, I may not be saying things like, if you study Eastern medicine, you probably would know this already. But one thing the West has that I would have to give a lot of credit to, because like I said, I don't get into the whole which is East and West is better. I get into merging both of them, right? So in Western medicine, the first milk they usually call the colostrum. And it's very different than regular milk later on, because it usually has double the protein substances, right? So the colostrum, or the first milk that a mom produces, and it's funny because it's like it doesn't produce as much because the baby's stomach is so small. Then it has double the protein, right? And it has a lot of immune factors which actually help the stomach lining develop, and it actually helps prevent pathogens. This is why I say that breast milk is like a bacterial soup, because it promotes intestinal health. This is why when we see, the thing is, one thing that I've noticed in the West is with all the people giving birth to C-sections, right? If you give birth to C-section and then you don't breastfeed your milk, the baby has a bacterial disadvantage from the beginning that at times is very hard to cover. You can still make it up, but then when you combine it with Western diet, the Western diet tends to contain things that doesn't encourage bacterial diversity. So when you combine those three things, this is why then when you look at obesity and certain immune diseases, a lot of times obesity starts because when your microbial composition in your stomach and small intestines is not diverse, you tend to weigh more, no question, right? You tend to suffer from obesity. And this is something that is not even, and this would be true because they've had immigrants, right, who have a certain diet that's probably better for bacterial diversity. They bring them to America. After 2 to 3 months of living in America, their bacterial composition, their stomach and small intestines matches an American. And we're talking about a person who might be eating better for years, a person who might not have had a C-section, a person who might got breastfed. After 3 months, it matches a standard American diet. Put like this: primates have some of the most, because human beings are primates, whether we know it or not, whether we know it, whether we accept it or not, right? And primates themselves, the funny thing about it is that with primates, they're known to have one of the most diverse microbial compositions in nature, right? And so you take a monkey. So, but humans are primates, but we don't eat the way we're supposed to, or how we used to live when we were more savage, I guess, right? So what happens is you take a monkey, and all of us who might have more diverse microbes than we do, or microbiome than we do, and you put them in a zoo, same thing. After 2 months, their microbiome looks like a human's. So even if you were breastfed and you didn't have a C-section, and you had a C-section, you don't eat right, it would still look like, I guess, not diverse, right? But if you didn't have it, and on top of not eating right, yeah, you're like microbial. You like have a microbial, not even deficiency. You're handicapped. And this is why they say there's whole species of microbes within human beings that are becoming extinct, that people are not even being born with right now, right? Even if you do breastfeed, even if you do, deliver a baby like a C-section, and that comes in because there's like we're just catching up now to the fact that where we look at ourselves as Homo sapiens and mammals, it's a much broader. There's a much broader perspective. And we're like, I guess you could say, not a laboratory, but like a vessel of many different beings and many different intelligences, right? Many different species living within us. And that's getting into microbiology, but that's something where everything has to be redone. Understanding, and that's why I always have to add the Western medicine, because they have that part, because of the new discoveries in microbiology, have that part more in the East, where the East will have the energy. So I think to understand ourselves, we have to kind of combine both. And even when you look at, because like even when you understand unique facts about breast milk, right? You have it where if you take a liter of breast milk, there's like 1 to 5 million white blood cells per liter of breast milk, right? Which is incredible. And in a sense, breast milk has even been shown, you could take breast milk from a woman and give it to an adult with eye infection, like not them drinking it, but putting it on their eye, even using it for ear infections, and it actually has shown to actually help adults with ear infections and eye infections. So it's no question really good for that, right? For immunization, for healing, for even cuts, all those things. And so I think the most interesting thing though is when you look at it, how the milk itself changes depending on the baby's needs. And that shows me that there's definitely, the human body is definitely an intelligence. It definitely is complex. And when we look at ourselves and we have cells, we have human cells, which are called eukaryotic cells, and we have bacterial cells, which are called prokaryotic cells. We're a combination of both, where we actually have more prokaryotic cells than eukaryotic cells, which means we actually have more bacterial cells than human cells, right? It's not as much as they used to say before. They used to say it was 10-1, but a lot of bacteria gets passed through your stool, so it's probably more 2-1. But even that's kind of, because we're actually starting to learn about viruses and viral me, right? Viral me is human viruses, and phages are bacterial viruses, right? So if you add the viruses, remember, native viruses that exist within us, when we hear the word virus, we automatically think bad. But even in science, don't have the exact number, but I'm pretty sure they said the number of viruses that are harmful to humans, pretty sure it's under 50. I think it's like 49% or 45%. So there's viruses within us that are actually part of our immune system that help our immune system learn about other viruses that are harmful to us, right? So if you add, and every bacterial cell has a virus cell, right? A bacterial virus cell is called phages. So you have viruses that affect bacteria and viruses that affect humans, right? So, but the viruses that are in the prophages that basically coexist with humans don't harm us, right? And they teach our bacteria to, this is what makes up our immune system. They teach our bacteria to hunt for harmful viral invaders or bacterial invaders. So every bacterial cell has 12 virus cells, right? So even though we've had some people say, well, we should adjust the numbers when you look up, because right now if you look up on Google, it's going to say we have 10 bacterial cells to 1 eukaryotic cells or human cells. Even if that's not true, even if it's 2 to 1 or 3 to 1, when you add the viral and the phage populations, then it goes back up to 10 to 1 or 12 to 1. So realistically, I'm saying that to say that when we say we're human beings, we're actually far more microbial, right? And that means our understanding of health has to change. And while formula, look, man, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. I understand that. Modern world, sometimes you gotta work. Some people gotta work 7 days a week. So you, at that point, you may not have no time for, might not have time to breastfeed. You may be so stressed out you don't even want to breastfeed. You may be even sick. You don't want to breastfeed. So this is not like I said, condemning people who don't do it, but it is good to have on record the fact that breast milk has some serious power, no question, and it just proves that there is an intelligent design to all this. So till next time, peace.